What's up YouTube? This is Matthew here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the only contracts you need in wholesaling real estate. Now, I get a lot of questions from you all on what contracts do you use for real estate wholesaling? What should I put in my contract? What is an assignment on contract? And so I'm only going to be talking about those two contracts in wholesaling because those are the only contracts you need when you're strictly wholesaling real estate. So if you all like this video, if it provides value, please like this video. I also have copies of the contracts in the link down below, description down below. Take a look. You all can download them in the PDF version or in the Word document version. And then you can edit it to your preference based off of your county or different regulations in your specific state and go from there. And if you all are not subscribed, a lot of you all watch my videos but are not subscribed. So, if you don't mind, just hit that subscribe button. And yeah, so let's get right into this video. So the first contract we're going to be talking about is the purchase and sales agreement. So the purchase and sales agreement, y'all, it's the contract that you have between you and the seller. The seller is the person who owns the distressed property that you are going after, right? I remember when I first got started in wholesaling real estate, I always got confused. Who's the seller? Who's the buyer? And I just got them mismatched all the time. So the seller is the person who owns the property owner that you're trying to buy the property from. And so in that case, you're wholesaling that property to a buyer, the person who's eventually going to buy that property, the flipper, the investor. All right. So this is the person who sells agreement. Let's say you negotiated a deal, you all agreed upon a price. Now you present them this contract, the purchase and sales agreement. And you can do it in hand, in person, at the house, or online. I have a video on how to send documents electronically using DocuSign. Take a look through my channel. I'll try to link it somewhere here. But this is what you send to them, and this is what you fill out. So this is the purchase and sales agreement. It's only one page for me. So all I have here is the date, the seller, and the buyer. So right here, you all will put your name as the buyer, you the wholesaler. And I know you're all like, okay, but I'm the wholesaler. Why should I put my name as the buyer? But you're going to assign this contract to someone else. So you're going to replace the buyer with someone else. So initially, you are the buyer, but you're going to assign this contract to someone else, if that makes sense. So you'll put your name right here and then the property owner right here. And so I'm going to have an example of a contract that I have already done and stuff, and you all can take a look. And then I have the county right here. It can change depending upon where you live. I have the city and state, street address, and right here we have the legal description. And by the way, shout out to Wholesale Toolbox, all right? When I first got started in wholesaling, this is essentially their contract, right? And I kind of edited it to my preference, but their contract is basically this. So shout out to them. I'll probably link some of their resources down below. So I don't want to take credit for this. But yeah, so legal description is essentially the legal position of this property where the lot lines starts and ends. So it gives like a legal framework of where the property lines sit for a specific property. And you can usually find that at your property assessor's website, right? And you just type in the address and they usually have a part where it says legal description and it has like some words and some numbers to describe that. So you can get it from there, but usually when I first started, I didn't even know how to find this information. So I would just send this contract off to the title company and they would fill this out. And I know I get a lot of questions about legal description, so I wanted to make that 100% clear. Don't worry about that. Boom. Then you have the price. That's where you put in your cash offer. You have payment. You have things with title and closing. Buyer will pay all escrow fees. Seller will pay any liens or judgments against the property. So if there's a mortgage on the property taxes and things like that, usually the seller is responsible for that. But for each specific situation and transaction, you may negotiate that with the seller. Let's say you decide to pay the property taxes, then you can put that within this agreement, right? So you can always switch it up. Closing date, on or before a certain date. You can make it 45 days out from like this date right here, then when you signed it. Disclosure, assignment. Now, a lot of contracts right here, they have the buyer and or assigned. So you may have your name. So let's say your name is Joe. So buyer Joe, and then usually they may have like a as or assigns after it. But instead of doing that, I just have a full assignment clause in my contract saying that I have the unqualified right to assign its rights under this contract to a third party. I don't have to let the seller know about it necessarily, and yeah, it just assigns it to the other buyer. This is a binding agreement, deadline, and acceptance, and then the seller assign, the property owner, and you assign. All right, boom. So here's an example of a purchase and sales agreement being filled out. So right here we have the seller's name, we have the date that we signed the contract and everything, and my name. I'm the buyer. Even though I'm wholesaling the property, I'm going to put my name as a buyer. So we have the street address, the city, state, and zip code, and this is the legal description. I just found it online, blase, blase, but don't worry about that. Usually the title company or escrow officer can fill that out for you, but you can find it online. And then we have our agreed price. So I like to bold like certain important information. So like this is the price. I want them to clearly see that this is the price of the property. Now, where I was saying before is that you can adjust things. So with this particular property, um, you can, like, if a seller wants to earn his money deposit, you can put that in. So I said buyer will pay a non-refundable deposit of $1,000, something like that. But usually, if you all saw, like this didn't even have an earnest money deposit section because I'm going for off-market properties. On-market properties, it's usually required, but that can be negotiated. But like usually off-market, I don't even talk about earnest money deposits because I never put that down. But in certain situations, you may have to edit it and put that into your agreement. So that's just an example, but you can ignore that for right now. So don't even worry about that. But other than that, we have just the information, and then we have the closing date. So this is another thing I bolded. So I put it 30 days after this date. So you see it's like just a month after this date. That's where that gives you time to, find a buyer, show the property, and you can make it longer. Let's say you need 45 days, 60 days. You can, instead of changing this to 4, you can change this to 5. Now you have 60 days. And then other things are the same, adding more lines for the sellers and the buyers. Boom. Now let's say you have this contract signed. I highly recommend all of you all to wait until you have a buyer in place in order to send these documents off to the title company. I like saying that because I don't want you all to waste seller's time. I don't want you all to waste the title company's time. But if you know for sure it's a hot deal, you can hurry up and send that off to the title company. And if you feel like there's some title issues that you need to address, yes, send it off to the title company. But I usually like to send both at the same time. But anyways, or if if it's a competitive deal and other wholesalers are buying it and in different things, you can create a memoranda and have that settled and whatnot. But next thing, assignment on contract. So that's when you find a buyer. So for example, this is an assignment on contract. And once again, the contracts are linked down below. So I just say assigner, and then you put your name. So I would put my name, for example, Matthew, and then assigns the right title and interest in the purchase and sales agreement dated blank to blank. So you kind of look back at the date that you signed the purchase and sales agreement, and you put that there. And then the property located at, and you put the property address. So this in return, it's just an assignment of contract. It's just a paper that tells people, hey, this contract, instead of this being the buyer, this person is going to be the buyer. Essentially, that's what it's saying. And you just have to state the contract that's being assigned. So you've got to put the address, the numbers, and different things like that. And so here, the purchase contract is being assigned for this amount. So the amount, this is your assignment fee. So let's say $10,000. So in total, you're going to get paid $10,000. And we saw from the last one, we're buying this property for $33,000 from the seller. And so let's say if we want a $10,000 assignment fee, we put $10,000 right here. And so we're going to advertise this property out to our cash buyers for 43. You're not going to say 33,000 because you want to include your assignment fee. So you're going to advertise it out at $43,000. Buyer shall close on or before. So you want a fast closing. You want your buyers to pay cash flash. So usually I make this like 2 weeks out or less sometimes, so the buyer can close fast. And then if you want earnest money deposit, so let's say you want your cash buyer to leave you a non-refundable earnest money deposit. You can do that here. So let's say you want them to put $1,000 down. So if they back out of the deal, you at least keep $1,000 and you can move on to your next buyer. And then right here, I put the title company information. And then right here, it says wholesaler, which is you're the assigner. You put your name, your date, and then you have the buyer who's the assignee. And here's an example. So right here, we have my name, I'm the assigner. And we put the date, the agreement date, dated blank, blank, blank. So for example, if we're basing it off of this, we're going to say 3/26/2020. So right here, we're actually going to put 3/26/2020. And you all don't be so analytical about these minor stuff, but this is just something that you can fill out. Agreement date 3/26/2020. So that assigns, you're just putting the same date of the purchase and sales agreement on the assignment on contract. And then to Jose. So Jose is the cash buyer, he's the assignee. And then you put the real property address, and then you put this purchase and sell your assignment fee. So let's say you're making $20,000. That's where you put it here. Boom. And then let's say you want to earn this money deposit, you put it here, 2,500. Boom. And then the title company, and then you sign, blase, blase. So essentially, you all, these are the only two contracts you need when you're wholesaling real estate. All right. If you're doing creative things, yeah, you need some different documents. If you're buying the property, if you're using private money, if you're just taking down the property yourself, yeah, or buying on market properties, yeah, it's a little bit different. But when you're just doing a bare minimum of assigning contracts, you only need these two contracts. All right, you all. So I hope you all really enjoyed this video. This is very practical, and I know when I was a beginner looking for these type of videos where it was very helpful that I can just download and whatnot, and someone to actually explain what these contracts mean and the different clauses behind it. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.